Everybody, thank you again for being with our program today. Frankly speaking, my name is Frank Castillo. I'm the host of the program. Alongside of me is
Memo Castro, good afternoon, I think, or good noon.
it's morning.
Morning, it's still morning.
Morning. So we're going to be here having a conversation right away with our first invited guest that we've had in our program. But I think somebody will shed some ideas about our labor organizations. Once this is but let me introduce Albert Cepeda, a representative of the Texas State Employees Union. Albert, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Good. And you are a representative of Texas State Employees Union. Can you tell me briefly where you're from and maybe your state employee experience?
Sure. I am from Brownsville, Texas, and lived there most of my life. I worked 29 years for the Texas Health and Human Services Commission and retired about 5 years ago. I had been a longtime union member. Right? I'm approaching 30 years with the union, and I've been an executive board member for about a little more than 5 years of the union, and going on 6 years. And when I recently, about a year and a half ago, I started working as a paid organizer for the union as well. We didn't have a permanent organizer down in South Texas, so I felt like I needed to step up and
Yes, I understand that. And what really motivated you to do this representation of the employees?
well, I feel that state employees are often
Overlooked?
ignored, and their needs are not tended to. And unfortunately, the composition of our state legislature, it makes it so that we have a very conservative state, as well as our governor, and so it's hard to get things for state employees, and you have to fight for things. And I'm very much a believer that you got to fight for those things. And I'm not a person to stay on the sidelines, and I felt I needed to get into the fight.
What makes you think unions can do anything to help the state employees?
Well, we've had a history of victories. Of course, you can't win them all. You win some, you lose some. It depends on the makeup of the legislature, of course, because they're the ones that oversee the budget, the state budget, and we have to.
So you have contact with them, or you
We
go
do.
out and make sure they are aware of the issues going on at the state employees level?
Absolutely. We have a legislative director that's in Austin and with his team, and they're constantly in communication with the legislators. Also, when the legislators come back to their home districts, we meet with them. We have members that meet with them to express the needs, for state employees and retirees. And so we're in constant communication. We have members all across Texas. So
In that regard, do you also represent retirees, or is it only state employees, active members?
it is also retirees, correct? Yes. And we've been in existence since 1980, Texas State Employees Union, and we've represented state employees and retirees. And so one of the main priorities for retirees has been to get a cost of living adjustment,
Correct.
and in their pension
Do you know
checks.
the last time retirees received an increase?
It was early 2001, I believe. Yes.
Inflation rate ate it all up already, I'll tell you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've had a difficult go of trying to convince our legislature that this is something that's needed. This last
Why
session,
is it that they have a problem understanding that they hired state employees? It's like teachers, right? The district hires teachers, but then later they don't want to compensate them. Or state employees, they hire state employees to go do all kinds of jobs and work, and they say, but then later say, well, you know what? You're going to have to fend for yourself. You're going to have to go get food stamps. You're going to do that. But why is that? I mean,
well, it has to do with the conservative nature of our legislature. They don't see state employees as a high priority.
Or even teachers, I'll be honest with you.
Sure, certainly,
And
yes.
one of the things that I kind of question is in our government agencies that they find better health and welfare programs for them, but when it comes to the average American, we're having the issue right now with Obamacare or whatever care you want to look at it. We get trickle down economics on that. You know, right now the biggest thing is about it is that how are we going to answer those questions? Unions come into a good attention because when I worked in almost 50 years ago, Grover Family Center here in Laredo, Texas, was paying $15 an hour. They're just talking about it today.
Yeah.
You know, so when you raise
That
the
was
bar,
Bernie Sanders, by the way.
well, I don't know
He was
about
an
that.
independent. He was
Yeah.
an independent.
Yeah, but the idea is this: you raise the cost of living for these people. A living wage has been done in all these other nations. The ones that incremented the living wage was the unions. You got to give them thanks,
Yes.
and that's what happens when you do that. You are protected. Seniority, health, and welfare goes hand in hand. When you pay your employees, they learn to take care of the business that is helping them. At the end of the day, we have to protect the business. That's the one that feeds us.
Sure.
But God, we have to also protect the employees.
Absolutely.
We have to do it to everybody. Teachers come in firsthand, yet they don't have a retirement program per se. Why don't we address that? When you address better working employees, you have better products coming out.
I think there are some companies out there that are very progressive and they treat their employees fairly and pay them well and provide good benefits and that provides a good living for their employees, and that pays off because they're content in their jobs, they're happy and they're productive, and they're proud of the work that they do, and that's a win-win for everybody.
Exactly.
But I think there are a lot of companies out there that are just thinking about their profits for the current quarter and maybe the next quarter. They don't look at 5 years from now, 10 years, 20 years, what's going to be the best model for this company and its employees and how it serves the community. Because you do need to have those consumers out there. You're not just making things and hoping that nobody buys them. I mean, you got to have the consumers that are going to be willing and able to buy those products and services.
How do you see our state employees and our retirees right now, state wide? What do you see from them? What are they asking for?
Well, pay is certainly the number one issue, and almost always is. They're often overworked as a result of not having enough staff.
Okay.
They're in my old agency, Health and Human Services. Staff had been working mandatory overtime for years. I want to say at least 6 or 7 years, and that in and of itself is an indication that you're understaffed.
Correct.
And
correct.
of course, our legislature might have made a calculation that it'd be better just to pay
Extra
overtime instead of having to train additional staff and raise the wage to
But
help
what
with
happens to the
with
quality of service?
with the
Is
staff
that-
retention.
But it can affect the quality of service, like a business, right? If you don't have enough people out there at the salesperson, your quality sometimes can decrease.
Absolutely. And it happens in all agencies that the quality of service is going to go down. I'm going to speak something specifically in regards to HHSC, where I came from. The quality of the casework has suffered so dramatically that the state is in debt to the federal government for all the errors that have been discovered in the casework.
Oh my!
Yes. Billions of dollars, and that was something that way back when I was with the state, we took pride in our case accuracy. We were
Right.
we wanted to be very knowledgeable about the policy and procedures on how to work cases properly, and that attention to detail has been lost over the years. And
That's when abuse begins.
yes, and the training, one thing that I was firmly opposed to was they reduced the training for new hires, and so I said that's inevitably going to result in all kinds of problems.
Kaji, we're going to have like 3 more minutes.
Sure. I'm
'cause
sorry.
I know you have to attend other matters here in Laredo. I really feel bad having to cut you, but
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
we agreed that
I understand.
you wanted to have only a certain amount of time.
Sure.
Question: what do you offer right now? What are you going to be doing in Laredo today, tomorrow, to offer people to join the union here
Well,
in Laredo?
I visit the offices. You know, I visit with our members, our existing members, and we try to get new people in. You know, I'll be visiting their offices. Well, I visited one office yesterday. I'll be at another office today and tomorrow. We're having an area organizing committee meeting tonight at one of the Juniors restaurants on McPherson, and
What is it called?
our
Junior?
Juniors, the restaurant Juniors.
That's one I never heard it.
I've never
Here in
heard of
Laredo,
it.
there's like a lot of them. No,
Danny's.
Danny. Sorry,
There you go.
I don't know why. I'm
So
sorry.
put a plug for Danny's restaurant.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The Junior's restaurant.
Junior must be
Yeah.
out of town, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Dan-
Can you give us the contact number or information so people who might be watching right now or later can get in touch with you?
Sure.
Albert?
My number is 956-551-5020.
Okay. And that would
And
be
of course,
direct to you.
Directly to me, my email is acepeda, Z with a Z, acepeda at cwa-tseu.org.
Wow. Wow. This is really exciting. Man,
I,
I'm sorry.
I encourage people that are out there to join your union, become a part of that union because it takes numbers. And with our times that we're facing right now are difficult, you can't do it alone. You have to organize, you have to come together, and that'll be a positive change. Secure your future by
Absolutely.
getting involved. And I
So
really
our-
applaud your efforts here.
Thank you. You know, our goal is to get to a place where we have so many union members that we are recognized as a force to be reckoned with by our legislature, so that they will work with us and we can take care of the needs of state employees and retirees. You know, the state employees are public servants. That's what they do, and they need to have all the tools that they need to do that job effectively, and then provide those services because Texans rely on those services. You know, and you need to have knowledgeable, effective staff, a workforce to provide those services with continuity and customer service. You know, and so I'm a wholehearted 100% believer in the work that I used to do and that state workers do today, and state retirees are probably our best source of lobbyists, because when we go visit Austin during the legislative session, and we take up we rent charter buses from all across the state, and we converge on Austin, and we meet with the legislators that day. You know, we have a march around the Capitol and a rally on the Capitol steps, and then we break up into groups and we meet with our local legislators and then those from the neighboring districts.
I mean, we can talk about labor and unions a whole lot in just this time, Albert.
Sure.
I want to let you know that you're always welcome to come by and chat with me and Memo. I know we have a lot of questions when it comes to what the local economy is,
Right,
and
right.
particularly in the border cities like Laredo. I know that state services are needed. I mean, we see it every day where we have it. I myself was a retiree from the state of Texas, but also the county and the city. So I have a comparison view about how, good things work. But what can I tell you? I really appreciate you taking your time. I know it's valuable time for you and for me too. What can I tell you? You're more than welcome to come by anytime. You have my contact information already.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much for having me on.
You got it. Thank you.
Memo, good to meet you
luck.
guys.
We're going to continue with the program. I'm going to sit right here, move around a little bit, continue my discussion with Mr. Memo here, Memo Castro. Give me a second to adjust here. All right. Well, that was a really interesting conversation we had with Mr. Cepeda. Memo, what you think?
Well, it was enlightening to know that we have somebody in this area that serves all of South Texas. And I think with the conditions that the whole state is going, and even with the federal, I know he doesn't handle federal, but these public servants need to be paid well. Going on that subject, I always believe that the teachers also have to be addressed on a better benefit structure for them, a retirement structure. The question that I asked was like, almost kind of want to lead on, and maybe we can bring them back, is that why is it that our political officials find a better health
You
and
know,
welfare
where I
program?
have always been very much, I don't want to say disappointed, where I've always had a question, let's say, about why all these public government employees don't really organize together. We shouldn't be talking about teachers only.
No.
We shouldn't be talking about state employees only or even federal. But we have, for instance, here in Laredo, we have county government employees, we have city government employees, state government employees, federal. Why can't we not come together? Now, there is an organization called the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, but it doesn't include the federal employees. But I think it would be stronger message. That's
Oh
it.
yeah, there's always power in numbers. The problem lies is that
Power in numbers.
yeah, the problem is that you have the civil, I guess, service, which is what is close to some type of a job security, but it's manipulated. It's manipulated.
Now,
by-
you work for the private sector.
Oh,
With
yes.
AFL-CIO was not a private; it was a public organization. But the fact is that you work for a private
enterprise,
business.
businesses. That's what it have. A lot of the social functions that we have today were done by the unions. They were the ones that were
Exactly.
pushing that. Yeah. Back then in the early 1900s, we had so much, I guess, labor abuse. Now the biggest problem that we face here locally is that they pit us against the immigrants that are coming over. On the private sector, we cannot address-
Unjustly.
Unjustly. And the thing about it is this: the answer is there. Yeah, the answer how to, to address the illegal immigrant situation is what they did years ago. You remember the amnesty program? That's one way of addressing it, giving them a road for citizenship through some type of a legal residence. See, the abuse is not that they're not better workers, they're underpaid workers. And that pits us against what I call it, and this is my opinion, is a return back to some type of legal slavery. An immigrant, any illegal immigrant that comes from Mexico is going to work for whatever he can get. And that pits us against them. Why? Because our local resident has to live under our laws, and they are under the shadow of the laws.
Right.
See, that's what people don't understand. The abuse, not the abuse
It's
on our
very interesting what you're saying.
Yeah, the abuse is on our
seen it before,
social
heard of
side,
it, but
yeah.
now that you present it this way,
Yeah, well, that's the way you have to look at it. You have to look at it that the biggest, proudest moment is that I am Hispanic. My culture is a Mexican American. My family, all of them have served the country well.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
bro.
I've never said that, but my allegiance is to the United States of America and my
There you
flag.
go.
My flag
There-
is the
that's
United
what I've
States
been
and the
hearing.
Texas flag.
You know what? Like I mentioned to you before, Toby, I'm an American citizen
Yes,
already. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't go around telling her or a U.S. citizen. I really, from the border, Tejano. I'm a lot of different things.
yeah.
But people identify me like that. I don't identify myself like that. But I'll go, okay, this is who I am. I mean, I'm a Martin High School graduate. I'm a Tiger. You
Longhorn.
can put all that. You're a Longhorn. We all have different things.
Yeah.
What very interesting how labels can apply.
Yes.
And some people, I'm not going to lie, in the political circles are very good at labeling.
Oh,
They label undocumented, they label illegal. And all of a sudden we have this, we're up in arms. Oh no, you can't do that. Wait a minute, temper that down.
the biggest thing that they all label us. Oh, America was an immigrant. We're all immigrants. The only ones were the American Indians.
Native Americans.
The deal is this: as time goes, borders were set, laws were created, and we have to abide by them. Free NAFTA is a misconception. There's nothing about free NAFTA. It costs somebody money. It costs some country monies. It cost us look at Detroit. If you ever walked to Detroit, the might of our country was the manufacturing area. Okay. I mean, I went there and I was flabbergasted to see this beautiful city turn into like a third world country because they left.
Yeah.
They left to greener pastures, hopefully, but then they come back and they want to sell the product American made when 90% is made in Mexico. Please, come on.
Or China.
Or China,
Yeah.
The biggest thing was when we had the pandemic, it was an eye opener. You know, here it
Do
was-
our local government officials understand that? Do they realize what's happening, that their decisions locally impact nationally and vice versa? What's impacted nationally or internationally also impacts locally. Do we have those individuals as heads of our governments locally, Memo? What are you
to
thinking on
me,
that?
it's a political, how do you call it, gash. It's no longer about what the need of America is. It's what the need of political parties. You see, the dignity, the respect that you used to accept no longer exists.
Yeah.
It's the one that can throw the most mud, slander the most people, is the one that is
Very
like,
toxic.
yeah, very toxic. And it's like a, how do you call it? How do you, one of these soap operas, you know? Everybody's cheating on everybody. Everybody, that's a way of life, you know? And it's not so. Does the real American, I'm talking the hardworking American, care what happens in Afghanistan or what happens? Yes, our heart goes out to them. We all talk about a world global economy. Do we care about what happens in Europe or in South America? We only care about what we can control. Affordability. Democrats are now beginning talking about affordability. That's something they forgot years ago. Why? Because it was not so much about affordability to the American people. It's how we do protect and motivate our party.
A lot of political parties enveloped, accepted also corporate power, corporate monies, because they realized they needed that to function. And I can almost assure there are local politicians here or government elected officials who will tell you, I cannot be in a campaign without corporate money supporting my campaign.
Oh, you know,
Yeah. And I know who they are talking
we're
about.
talking about,
Yeah.
how do you call it, campaign reform, you know. It takes money to run a campaign,
Right?
bottom line. And you can look nickels and dimes, but you know what? At the end of the day, when you have big developers,
Well, see, it kind of has a problem that kind of grows in itself. It continues to push that rhetoric that you need to have a corporate partner to help you. And I don't know if that's true anymore because, well, maybe it is true, but I think it's changing, Memo. That's just my
Well,
outlook.
it's there.
I'm hopeful maybe that it's going to continue to change.
you remember in the 70s, middle 70s, there was something called the silent majority, where people, common working people that people didn't count on because they never got active until it had fixed their pockets, their livelihoods, their way of life, all of a sudden rose and elected somebody because he more or less identified to the needs of the working people. You know, now we have, how do you call it, all these social events, that social people that say, I need to move my agenda. But does it fit mainstream America? Mainstream America is freedom, you know, freedom of choice, less government involvement. We need government support, yes, but the thing is, the ideology we stand. We're a capitalist country, you know, and you say, a lot of people say, well, no, capitalist so much. Well, the problem is, you want to have a socialist country? You know?
Well, Memo, you know, you and I are not going to agree on that.
Oh,
one.
no.
You know, and it's okay. But I can tell you this much: capitalism really is, if you look at the definition of it, has nothing to do with the economy. It only has to do with your right to own private property.
Exactly.
That's it. Do I have? I believe that. I think we should have a right to own private
I want to
property.
tell you something where I disagree with you. Problem is that when you have too much social welfare, I believe that we should help those that need it. There should be a time limit for that to get them up. You have hungry people coming from all corners of the world, coming to a country that expresses true freedom, freedom to innovate your ideas and make money and prosper. And the idea in other countries, you don't have that. So we're a perfect country? No. Are we a free country to some point? Yes, we are. Do we have to abide by the laws? Yes, we have to have law and order. That's number one. Okay. Is it right for me to protest? Yes, but do it nonviolence. Martin Luther did it, and he opened the eyes for us how to accept civil rights. You know, there's always been a fight for civil liberties. You know, I have nothing against the gay movement. I have nothing against it. Some of my friends are gay. Like I always tell them, I may be vocal. I said, I don't swing in the same vine that you do, but I respect your opinion. But, the idea is that they have to
Oh, that's
respect
good.
my
That's a
opinion
good
too,
one.
But the young generation doesn't expect me because they say, oh, you're so and so. You're the problem is this.
They already painted you a certain way.
Oh, yeah. You do that. No, I don't mind. You live
Well,
your
I
life
have
the
the
way you
same
want to live.
tendency sometimes that I go out and some of my friends or used to be friends would label me this type of individual because I believe in social welfare, which is in the preamble of our United States Constitution that we provide for the common good and the social welfare of our people. So that means that we do have to look out for your fellow man. And I sincerely believe that that's what we should do when we
I
can't
agree
do
with
it.
you 100% on that,
I think the times that I've been helped too, when I had a need to go to get my education, I think maybe my era, we were paid the tuition. We didn't have to worry about
No.
where our financial was going to come as long as we had a certain criteria. And we were migrant workers. So yes, I did qualify for it. So I was able to get my school paid. So I'm not going to lie to you. To me, that is one of the things that I'm hoping that we continue to stress that, that government is meant for some of that, not necessarily to give handouts to some corporations. And that's where I also draw the line. Like, hey, come on, man, you're already making millions or billions. You still want more from our government, not paying their fair share of taxes. Memo, yes, all of those things to me are important.
I know. And the thing is, there should be, something where they should pay their fair share. But you know what? Rich people, rich corporations create jobs, but they should be paying it with better wages. We're the number one inland port in Laredo, Texas. Yet we have 35 or 36% underemployment. That's not the right answer. And the right answer is not like, oh, we can't push for a living wage. Why not? We cannot enforce the private sector to do it. I understand. But when you pick the bar where the city has these companies that come and do business with the city of Laredo, should pay a living wage and they should hire locals.
Exactly.
The bottom line, we don't see that. Look at the River Drive Mall, a $10 million abatement, and it went south. Come on, how do we justify that?
It's a wonderful point because I agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, that many of our contracts go to entities that one are from out of town, and it doesn't seem like there's somebody overseeing this, or maybe they do oversee it, they ignore it. But yeah, there's got to be, even though the cost might be less, but if that company is locally owned and has local employees, it might benefit the community at large.
At large, that's it. It's all about us taking care of all of us, but at the same time, if we're going to make money, pay your employees a decent wage so they can build their dreams. So, that's the ladder of the middle class. We're seeing a middle class diminish. We're seeing in Laredo, Texas, where you see more foreign vehicles on the road moving American products, selling American products at a higher rate, and yet guess the return for these businesses. They're coming to Laredo not because it's being built in Mexico. It's cheaper to operate in Laredo, Texas than anywhere in the nation because they buy cheap labor. And to me, that's like legalizing slavery. People only work to get by, not to build dreams. Home ownership is going to be a thing of the past, the way things are going.
And even then, even local, I guess, businesses also sometimes contribute to the same matter when they do hire others that are not locally. And I know how they get around it. Come on, you and I both know how they get around it. They pay only one individual.
Exactly.
But that individual hires 5 or 10 others that are not perhaps
And the state does
documented.
it too.
Yeah.
The state does it too. They subcontract people.
Exactly.
And that's it. And then they'll say, well, I thought they were all U.S. citizens. And then you see Juan Pepe digging a addition, and then 4 or 5 looking at him. Hey, Juan, you're not doing a better job, Hey, let's spread the job sign too. Let's look at it, benefit,
What do you think of that? I mean, any solutions around it? Not just enforcing what the laws say also.
The laws are built there. I don't agree with Trump in a lot of things. I don't believe that the fence is going to keep people out. What's going to keep people out is he's already doing it by throwing them back. If you're here illegally, fine. You can't be here. Do it the proper way. Do it like they did it years ago.
And on that point, I was reading something the other day, and like I said, we both agree. And what we're producing here today, with frankly speaking, sometimes we try to be factual, but
Yes.
when I can't be, I will tell you I can't be factual because I remember reading some story indicating or describing, that people don't necessarily look at where the product is being built. They look just the fact of how much it costs and if I'm going to afford it. They don't think about it.
On that, I agree with you because years ago, the downtown area was selling reman things, product from China. And back then, Mexico didn't have a relationship with them. So people would flock downtown to buy all of this contraband stuff. And I tell you this firsthand because back then, to get around it, I'm not lying to you, the other location we had, we would get product from China and we had 10 or 15 guys labeling, like you said, labeling everything made in USA, but it was made in China, And the thing about it, to get around it, it was done and it was bottom up. Wow, the quality, was it there? No, it's not a Panasonic or a Sony. It was some off brand, but it gave you the same product. Durability was the fact that it might work for a couple hours and then it goes balloon.
I had lost my train of thought, but I'll bring it back to now. I recall what I was trying to tell you. I know that there's numbers are down and things like that, but right now, can you really rely, that's just an opinion of mine, on who is actually producing those numbers? Because I remember recently having read that the Standard Labor Act was telling us we have so much unemployment, we have so much decrease in salary, but then the administration said, fire, you're fired. Don't be putting those numbers out. So we're going to give you the numbers you need to put out. And so now can we really trust and rely on those numbers?
I can't trust on the national level because it's done, but I sit on the local workforce board and we get a report what's local, and
Okay.
that's more important to us. And for them to give us the numbers and justify, yes, we have 36, percent unemployment, or living under poverty level. That's one static that we know because we see the colonias, we see the assistance that the food banks are being done. In a perfect society where everybody's making all this, you would have low numbers in that. We have high numbers of people that seeking assistance. Why? Because they can't make it on what they're making it right now. A person that has to run a house or just to live has to have more than $750
And I will
an hour.
always say, can somebody on minimum wage afford a house?
They have to work.
No, it's
no way.
impossible. Literally impossible.
They would have to have
3 or 4 different incomes.
three or
of the
four.
same,
It takes a family
Yeah.
to afford a home.
home.
That's how it was.
And I don't know how we're going to change it, but that would be a dream, ideal time to be back to where we can provide somebody with an adequate salary in order to afford, because that stimulates actually growth. That stimulates home buying. That stimulates a lot of things.
Exactly.
In a different way that I see it, but maybe we could get back to that.
If we can pick up the cost of products, increase in our interest, I think it's an obligation that we pick up a minimum wage, provide a living wage, provide that, because in its essence, people will get, you put more money into people's hands, they'll buy more. They can build dreams. They can buy homes. I'm not saying give them the assistance like the Clintons did years ago, where everybody can afford a house, and then all of a sudden you had all these high products, and then we had a downfall in the market, and what happened? People were losing their homes.
And so, some of it had to do with the banks themselves being a little bit greedy. But nevertheless, where I see a need is to be able to help people in a way where everybody has an opportunity, to own a home. And so having to go back those years, I don't want to say be regressive because I hate those words, but I would say let's hope that we do better salary-wise, but that would mean it would take a free market versus capitalism. A free market saying, this is the best quality, at the right price, you know, we should sell it. And so right now, tariffs, things like that, doesn't really allow for that free market. You know,
I know that. I know that.
you're not helping anybody by those tariffs. You're really not.
But if you look at why they were done, I can see it should have done a gradual, not a like he wants to do it, run un fregazo. The idea NAFTA wasn't created in 3 years. It's created in 30 or 40 years. Gradual. That we went through. And the idea is this: to be competitive, you have to be fair to everybody. You know, free market, you could say it's fine.
Well, you have to have a good product too.
You have to have a good product. But the bottom line is this: they moved to Mexico not because it was beneficial to them, not to us. Why? Because cheaper labor. But
Sure.
you see the problem in Mexico with these plants, because I've been to those plants. They have a great overturn of employees because they don't invest in their employees. They'll work a month here, a week later. So you have the same guy that was doing the assembly or the same guy that was doing the painting goes to work for somebody else. He gained his experience because they lose on that. And at the same time, when it comes to the American side, they said they were going to be cheaper cars. Well, they're more expensive. Why? Transportation costs, recalls, all of that. They don't have the same quality what it meant American made. They were made American made, lasted forever. And they found out that
So
when
who benefits from NAFTA and all this other
Corporate America.
Corporate America.
corporate America has always been the one that's going to make the money. You know, we're just pawns in this situation, living off of the big fat fishes, you know, and they're the ones that direct how we're going to go. They're the ones that direct our politicians. You think the politicians, they want their money, but they don't
The state of
want.
Texas had a surplus of almost $8 billion back in 2008. Because I remember was still a state employee. They just didn't want to use that amount. They ended up doing something, and we'll get into this conversation for the next few minutes now. They decided to say, you know what, all this surplus, we're going to give it to the private schools, those charter schools. We're going to give it to all of those, but not public. That doesn't sound right, because whoever provided increased that $8 billion surplus was not the private sector. Like, for instance, churches, Catholic churches, Methodist churches, all these schools, they don't pay federal taxes. They don't pay any taxes whatsoever, except for what they consume locally.
I'm going to tell you, in the biblical day, they pay taxes.
I believe you.
They did.
I believe you.
Something tells me that
Why?
something went wrong because
But the state of Texas last year turned around and said, you know what? We're going to give you all this money so you can have parental choice or family choice. Wait a minute. That was my money. Why are you taking it away from our public schools? I'm very upset
I
about
believe
that.
in the public school section, but I also believe that there should be some type of reform. Because when you read about all the abuse that's happening, and I may go toe to toe on you, but the bottom line is this: when there's no accountability, there's no transparency, and when bad decisions are made, you know, especially with the common things that are happening right now at UISD, 3 bond issues, elections. We were promised a high school in the Mines area, 3 bond elections, and I spoke to some leading people that I've called my friends who were there. Oh, it's the heavy traffic. United South, Laredo South, they had heavier traffic. They addressed it. Every modern facility now is in the South. Why? The North is where it started. We don't get nothing. We have Cougar Field. That was the first stadium. It needs the proper attention. No, we built the SAC. We built a swimming, whatever you call it.
Who? The natatorium.
Yeah, an auditorium. Cost millions of dollars for who? How many people swim on it? Tell me that. And then the maintenance of that costs money. Now we're in a, what, 44 million deficit? And then all of a sudden we don't know? There's questions there. And I talk about what's pertaining to me
When
and
I
our
came
tax
on the
dollar.
school board, Remo, I did not see any movement toward a high school on Mines Road. And it wasn't even in any kind of the bond election, plans. So maybe it was promised verbally or said, but
Three bond election.
Yeah, but it wasn't there.
No,
I'm
but
not
it
saying
was.
I'm taking fault
No,
for
no.
it by any means. I'm just saying
I know for
I
a fact
never-
they told me.
Okay, they told you.
They
but-
told me. But you know what?
should've-
Trust me. Now they say
Yeah,
trust me.
trust me. Oh no! Hey, very hard, and I
Yeah,
know.
I know.
The thing is this: when I hear that word too, I do believe that school district employees per se do their job the way they're told
Oh,
to
I
do.
know that. Yeah, I'm not. I have no issue with the
Well,
employees.
that's all I'm saying because the word trust. Now, who and what? Well, you look at non-paid, non-salaried school boards that goes out and asks the committee, what are your needs? Because that's what they did with a blue ribbon committee, I believe it was called at that time. I wasn't a part of it. I came in toward the latter part of it, but they had committee and they had people out there. I mean, they just asked, but I don't think anything, I think they implemented some things they wanted to, but others they didn't.
I know.
I myself would have said, you know what? I think it is true. They do need a school.
I know.
A
I know.
high school.
I think
in
it-
Mines
it-
Road.
it-
Just
we-
for safety,
think-
for many reasons.
I think it's owed to us, you know, and it's owed to us, not to me, but the kids of that area and the parents of that area. We've been loyal, we've been faithful, we've been trusting them. Now they want to sell those acres because of somebody's mistake. Come on.
Yeah, I heard also in one of those that they are thinking of selling property, land, so they can make up the deficit. You know, I know for a fact that if I were a
other
school
words-
board, I would never fire any employee.
Oh,
I would,
no.
I would make sure everybody is safe.
What I would say is that we're paying for our father's sins now. Bottom line, that's what it comes down to. Their mistake, we got to pay for them. The people from the Mines Road are going to pay for that. I don't think it's fair.
No, and I agree. I mean, a lot of the schools when I was in school board had already been planned years in
Oh, hell
advance.
yeah.
So
Master
they would
plans were made.
they plan United South Ninth Grade Campus, all these other schools that I had no choice. Just approve the construct. Already
Oh,
been
yeah.
paid for the construction with just any amendments, which I hate when they come back and say, you know what, we're going to change. We need to add on this. It's going to be costing us more because of the price of this. But you know what? And I heard this in the county also regarding that Life Downs
Oh,
facility.
yeah, the millions of dollars.
No, now they're saying that you have this many problems. Memo, if you need to depart, I'll just close it up.
You
here
got
by
it.
myself,
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you, everybody. I got to take care of business. That's what pays. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much for being with us today. There's a couple of topics that I would want to cover, and of course, this has to do with school district issues, questions abound. I promise I will discuss that first at our next podcast. Frankly speaking, I will also do my best to try to get some other questions at least explored. We might not have the solution. Memo obviously has his point of view. My point of view is always to support the employees, support our students. If you support your employees, you're supporting the students. Lastly, I think there is some questions out there about trust. If you don't trust the school district, especially board members, they don't trust the administration, the board members, don't be there. Because we want you to reflect good on our areas. Each individual school district board member should represent their district well. And when you throw those items out there that people are criminal and things of that nature, that's just following some parent group out there who's been on their own for a while, just making things look worse than they are. Everything can be solved. Everything can be worked if we do it together. And I don't see an issue of doing anything different in the future other than to try to work together with everybody concerned. But, if you're going to come to the table with a negative attitude, if you're going to come to the table representing one view only, that's not who we are. And school board members understand that. All of them accepted a role to play. They wanted to be representative. And sure, everybody has their own point of view, but make sure that that point of view or personal point of view is left out of the equation. That belongs in your home. It doesn't belong in a school board meeting. The questions should be addressed as we. It's never about I. It's not about I want this. It's we need this. We need to work on this. And I support everybody who's in the school administration, both at LISD and UISD. They have a hard job to do. They have some hard questions coming up because of funding. Funding was not something that we created. Again, I mentioned earlier that I think the school districts were given a dirty hand by decreasing their amount of tax revenue. The tax revenue is hurting because voters voted to give themselves that exemption instead of considering what it was going to be doing to our school districts. What was it going to affect the school districts? And I know for a fact that when I considered voting for the exceptions, I did not really agree with it. But somebody felt like this is the way they can do it in order to get reelected at the state level. Again, I tell you, it's difficult, again, but everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a point of view. I respect that. But you know what? Like I said before, we also have ours. So make your wishes known. Well, but if you do have a personal opinion of something, that really doesn't belong in the equation of solving the problem. That's one thing. And of course, we also went through some questionable things that happened at the state level. A federal judge ruled that the gerrymandered maps are unlawful, so we cannot use them. So we're back to the original demarcation of our boundaries for congressional districts. That's welcome news to some people, especially those that have to go out there and campaign. I'm sure now they have to reconsider, but it impacts everybody. I don't think what was done gerrymandering in midterm, when it's done only every 10 years, was wrong. And really, that's the bottom line. And of course, we continue with these crazy ideas of what people do out on their own, I guess, before they became an administration or before they became presidents. It's coming back. Those are very difficult times for our nation to be undergoing that amount of corruption. And so I know that's something that we could share and talk about, and I'd be more than happy to give my opinion about this. I know there's some noise in the background. Don't worry, it's not happening here. It's just out in the streets, and we're doing an outdoor session right now. And what can I tell you? But I know Memo and I look forward to coming back next Wednesday and talking about some of these things. Once again, this concludes program 3, episode 3 of Frankly Speaking. Your host, Frank Castillo, saying have a good day, and we talk to you soon. Thank you.